fellas, it is tremendous to be here today with two legends of the North Melbourne Football Club, Ricky Ponting, Alastair Clarkson, and a brand new legend of the North Melbourne Football Club in Ponting Wines.
Yeah, thanks, son. I believe there's a bit of a story and a bit of a background. I had a bit of a rumour maybe a couple of years ago that one of these wines, the Pinot Noir from Tasmania, might have been consumed at a pretty important time in the footy club.
Yeah, well, you're accurate. Yeah, we had a great reason to come together a couple of years ago to discuss where this footy club was at, and all three of us got enormous passion for this club, its significance to each one of us at different parts of our journeys, and what we needed to do is get some people back involved to steer the ship in the right direction again, and which is why Son jumped on board as the chair, and Jen Watt as the CEO, myself as the coach, Todd Viney as the footy manager, and in Luke and Jai as the co-captains on field. Hopefully we can get that stability and continuity that we need to get us back up the ladder.
So was the contract actually signed before you sampled the Pinot, or was it a celebration? That was the rumour I sort of heard.
So the reason the wine was there, I can't take credit for that because I was just so flippin' excited that Clarko was going to be there that I struggled to get myself ready for that meeting. But I rang another champion of the North Melbourne Football Club in Brady Scanlon, who had recently left the board, and he's a neighbour of mine, and we asked him to come round and just witness this moment. And Brady, bless him, has never been able to tell anyone he was there, and he turned up with the bottle of Ponting Pinot to celebrate. And I rang Brady yesterday to say, what year was it? And he said, I'll check the other one. I said, what do you mean the other one? He said, I've got a second one waiting for when we win a flag. So it's 2019 Pinot, by the way.
Yeah. So tell us about how you became a North fan initially, and then perhaps as you rose through Australian cricket, your connection to North in the 90s, became really good mates with Arch and Steve-O and all that crew.
Well, it was really, like most probably, it was a family connection. My mum and my uncle were North Melbourne fans. I idolised my uncle because he was a cricketer. He was doing everything that I wanted to do. He was playing A grade for my club team, Maybury Cricket Club. He was playing state cricket for Tasmania. I ended up going on an Ashes tour to the UK in 1989.
You played a test too, didn't you?
He played a few tests. Played 3 or 4 tests. Played a couple on that trip and a couple back in Australia, and a few one-days along the way as well. And he was a passionate North Melbourne fan. So it was like, well, if that's what he's doing, that's what I want to turn into. I'm going to be a Kangaroos fan. And I love footy myself. Had a great passion for the footy club. Was lucky enough to be invited along to some games. I was the #1 ticket holder for a few years. Through that, got to know a lot of the players a lot closer, and be in the rooms with them pre-game. I'd be at the pub with them post-game, and might have even turned up to a few Mad Mondays back in the day as well. But got really close with some of the guys, and still am now.
Yeah, 96, 99, that sort of era where we played 7 prelims in a row. Yeah. You'd think with that you might be a little bit disappointed with two victories, but they're so hard to win. Probably should have won it in 98 and lost to Adelaide, and then
that was the one I was going to bring up.
Actually, and then the
96. I remember 96. I was at home. I was in Launceston. I was at a mate's house who is also a Kangaroos fan. We had a big barbecue at his place, and I remember being out in half time kicking the footy in the street and doing all sorts of things. But 99 is a different story because I was in Sri Lanka 99 when the grand final was on, and I was supposed to be playing a test match on that Saturday, and the test match, the day's play had been washed out. So I'm back at the hotel with a mobile phone, and back then the calling rates was about $10 or $12 a minute to call back to Australia, and that was the only way that I couldn't watch it. The only way I could actually know what was going on was to ring my best mate back in Launceston, who was a Carlton fan. So I'd been sort of ringing him quickly, checked the score, found out we're in front, and I thought, going into the last quarter, I thought I've got to listen to this. So I rang him and said, just put your phone next to the TV or the radio. I'm going to just sit here and I'm just going to listen to the whole last quarter on my mobile phone, and I did. And I from memory, it was it 35 points? I reckon it might have been the final margin in that game. But I mean, a lot of people probably would have done that. I'm not saying that I was any more passionate than anybody else, but at different times on different overseas tours, I went to some pretty big lengths to make sure that I watched every single minute of every single game when I was away. Tell stories about being in India and buying my own DVD players for every hotel I went to. So I'd go out in the street, I'd buy one, I'd bring it back, I'd get the hotel to set it up, and then midweek I'd get the DVD sent over from the AFL. Actually, they'd send the DVD to me, little express thing. I'd get there in 2 or 3 days, and I could watch last week's game on the Tuesday or Wednesday, and hopefully being able to stay away from the news to not know what the result was. So I could actually watch it like it was live. So.
Can you recall that game down in that testimonial game, Ponting game down in Tasmania, Hawthorn v?
We've got to get the highlights of this actually.
North Melbourne.
It's one of the luckiest things I've ever seen in my career. So the footy club were, like, once again, great supporters of me and our foundation, and we put on a charity cricket game in Launceston. I'm not sure if you've heard about it, but it was Hawthorn versus the Kangaroos. This when Clarko was still at Hawthorn. So a lot of the players from both teams had come down, and we had the biggest crowd at a sporting event in Tasmania. Turned out this night to watch the two footy teams play. And anyway, a lot of the players were a bit nervous about getting out first ball. So we'd actually had a word to the two umpires, which are Tim Payne and George Bailey, were the two umpires, and said, look, whatever happens, if anyone gets out first ball, just make sure it's a no ball. So I knew that going out to bat. So I'm standing there knowing I've got a free hit first ball because I can't get out. I'm looking around the field, and there's no fine leg. Well, there's no one down at fine leg. So I'll run down the wicket, hit like a pull shot down the fine leg, and then all of a sudden this bloke jumps over the fence, runs onto the ground, dives full length forward and takes one of the all-time great catches, and then runs in celebrating. He didn't know that you could.
George Bailey's got his arm out like this, no ball. Very disappointed I was.
Ricky, you've got an incredible amount of experience of building great teams. What advice do you have for us as we're building to chase silverware?
I think it's, and I've just lucky enough to have a chance to talk to the leadership group just now. And I was lucky. I took over a very good team, but when I took over that team, I made it really clear to the guys about the vision that I had for the team, and that vision, I don't mind sharing it. The vision was that I wanted us to be the best skilled and most uncompromising cricket team that the world had ever seen. And we had enough good players to do that, but I wanted those players to never be happy or satisfied with where they were or what they'd achieved, to try and find a way every day to make themselves better. And to full credit, there were a lot of guys on that side, McGrath, Warren, Gilchrist, a lot of these guys had performed at a really high level for a long time, but I thought if with a little bit of poking here and there that I could stretch them and make them that little bit better on a daily basis. And the uncompromising part was we just don't compromise anything that we do. Anytime it's a cricket time, a cricket moment, whether that's our planning, our preparation, our practice, the way we present was a really important thing to me. How we were presented as a team and to the public, we don't compromise on anything.
And it's so powerful, isn't it, that notion that you'll own your narrative, nobody else will. It's mine, I choose it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you find with now in coaching teams of younger people, is it the same ethos that you're trying to instill?
It's the same, but it's not. And I'm sure you've noticed that through your coaching time as well. I think we all have to evolve and change with society and what players and society demands and needs, because they like it or not, this generation, they're different. They like information in a different. Well, some of them do. Some like it.
We were different to our parents' generation
exactly,
too, weren't we?
Yeah.
So.
And you have to be aware of that, and you have to coach that way. And that's why I always talk about understanding the personality of the player, not just if they can kick or mark or handball or run. Like you need to know the player's personality inside out, know their character traits, know about their family and their upbringing. If you want to communicate well with these people, the only way you can do that is by knowing them back to front. And I spent a lot of my time as a captain doing that, learning as much as I could about my players.
So Rick, we've got a couple of beautiful wines here in the Shiraz and Pinot, but where did your interest initially come from with the...
It's almost 12 o'clock too. It's almost 12.
Ready to open one up.
No, look, in my wildest dreams, I never thought I'd be sitting here, one, with my own wine label and business, but two, to think that this company can be a sponsor of the North Melbourne Footy Club. First, I think it's a great fit, but we also understand that we're extremely lucky to be aligned with the North Melbourne Kangaroos. It's something that we can be really, really proud of. And in this journey, we're 4 years into the journey now as far as making wine's concerned. The important thing about the business is, I think, as well, is that everyone understands that it is ours. My wife and I own the business. It's not, we're not sticking our name and label someone else's product and sitting back looking to make a quick buck. This is something that we're really passionate about. We both love wine. We love travelling the world and experiencing different regions and different wines. And 4 years ago, we started making our own. And a big part of what I wanted to achieve with this brand was telling a story through the brand about me and Rihanna and my family and where I'm from. So on the table there, we've got a Tasmanian Pinot Noir and a McLaren Vale Shiraz. So we've got 4 Tasmanian wines in the lineup now. So 2 Pinot Noirs, a Pinot Gris and a Chardonnay. And that's about, putting some more authenticity to this as a brand. I live in Melbourne, yes, but I'm from Tasmania, and I wanted to make sure that story was being told through the brand. We don't own a vineyard or a winery. We source grapes from the most premium regions in South Australia and Tasmania, and then have our winemaker Ben Riggs, who is brilliant, has been in the industry for 30 odd years. He does all the producing and making for us in McLaren Vale.
Ricky, thanks so much for coming in. We're really excited about this partnership. I know North people everywhere are excited about what's coming this year on field, and I know they'll be looking forward to celebrating with a bottle or two of Ponting. So thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks, Sonia. It's always great to be back. I haven't been around the footy club for a little while, even with COVID the way it was, but it's actually a pretty good time, I think, with a lot of excitement around the place with the footy club and the young talent that we've got, and then with a pretty young brand as well that we're trying to establish. Hopefully we can establish it along the way together, and as you say, have plenty of opportunities on a Friday, Saturday or Sunday night to share a glass after a win.
Good stuff.